men, they have a lineup of men, and women have to choose who they'd rather date. Okay, so just see what.
Nearly 10 years ago, in my first report on short men for 2020, we concocted a test to illustrate an indisputable rule of love. Height matters. How tall are you? I'm 5 foot. This is Stu, and Rob, who's 5'3", and David, 5'6". We recruited a few taller men and put them in lineups behind a two-way mirror. Then we invited groups of women to choose a date. Since doctors are hot, we gave Rob an MD. The lady's choice?
Anna. I would say Matt.
No, Rob. We upped the ante and told the women that besides being a doctor, he was also a best-selling author and champion skier who just built his own ski house.
Does that affect your choices? He's still short.
So what would it take to take for Stu at 5 feet? We made him a millionaire. Nothing worked. We asked if there was anything too irresistible.
Maybe the only thing you could say is that the other four are
Cool? Yep. Superficial? You bet.
Well, I think the main lesson to draw is that life isn't fair.
So as you can see, Cortland didn't stand a chance, even if he was a millionaire. So last week, in my sociology class, they asked the ladies if we would date anyone who's shorter than us, and about all of the girls said no, including myself. I wouldn't date someone who's shorter than me. And it just got me thinking, like, are shorter men really at disadvantage in a lot of areas? Is it just romance, or are there other things? And some of the research I found studies in which a man's height affected their salary, and it also affected their chances of divorce. And so, in the first study conducted by some psychologists, they took some data from a bunch of men, and they found that a man who is about 6 feet tall is more likely to make about 160 grand more in a 30-year career span than a man who's like 5'5". They think this is because taller men, they literally have to look down on others. It's not that they think they're superior to everyone else. They just get their self-esteem higher because they're taller, and they exude more confidence. And so they tend to get the positions that have are more dominant, like they have higher positions, they're like CEOs, and they'll be managers. And honestly, because if you have someone short who's bossing you around, who you really take them seriously, you'll probably get mad, and I don't know, that's just my opinion. And so shorter men, they're more likely to have like middle class jobs, so like a lot of like blue collar jobs, and not really high up there. And if a taller man has a better job than the shorter man, then you'd think like, okay, so they're more likely to have a better chance of having a like good-looking wife, maybe. And honestly, it turns out that they might have a better chance of finding like their love of their life soon, but it'll probably end faster. Another study conducted by a group of sociologists at NYU found that the shorter men actually have a 30% less likely chance of getting a divorce. And that's because the shorter man usually takes longer to find their partner, and they'll have to prove their masculinity in different ways. So they'll do a lot of hard labor, they'll make sure they have a steady job, they'll probably be kinder, I don't know. And while a taller man is more likely to they could be chosen just off of their looks. It's not because of their personality, it'll all be superficial, so they're more likely to end up divorced than a shorter man. And I just want, I found all this really interesting, and even though you're short, don't think that you can't be the CEO someday. And just because you're tall, don't think that you'll divorce the love of your life. There's still a chance. Thank you.
All right, Jessica, the video clip's a little long at the beginning. I don't know how you could shorten it. Probably have to edit up a little bit, but it's your speech is 5 minutes, and the first minute is all the video. So it's a big chunk of your presentation. It's 20%, and so that it identifies the subject pretty clearly. It identifies the subject pretty clearly, but not necessarily what your point of view on the subject is, where we're going with this, what it is I'm supposed to know at the end of the presentation. So your purpose needs to be a little bit sharper, and you also need to preview the structure for us more. So that seems to be a little bit of an issue. On the delivery issues, once you step up in front of the audience, I think that you do a good job of maintaining that posture and focus there. Your facial expressions, you look natural while you're speaking to us. Usually your eye contact is pretty good. Your gestures, though, are sometimes a little problematic. Sometimes there's some nervous hand movements. You're kind of doing some stuff with your hair, and almost like you're trying to put your hands in pockets that you don't have sometimes, or drying off the palms of your hands, something like that. So that's where a little bit of your anxiety comes out. I think that's a little problematic, but for the most part, most of the visual things are pretty solid. That's maybe the one place that's a little problematic. For your paralinguistic cues, you have kind of a quiet voice to start with, and you're going slow. And I tell you what, the way that you drop out your voice sometimes, because it's not that you have to speak louder, but I think you need to be more consistent about that volume, because what you do is you start at kind of a low level, and then sometimes you drop down like this, and it makes it feel like the speech is going much more slowly than it really is. I'm not saying that you have to shout. We could hear you, but you do have a quiet voice, but you need to keep it up a little bit. If you want to emphasize a point instead of dropping down, I think what you might want to do is go up in that situation, because I think that that's one of those things that just makes the speech feel like it's coming to a standstill. Even though you're going at the same rate of speech, it has that kind of impression there. So that, I think, is a little bit problematic. We got "they" quoted a couple of times in the early part of the speech, and then you were a little bit better in the later part of the speech, identifying who it was that you were citing. Thank you.